Today we are learning German Dance in E major. This is by Haydn, so from the classical period. And like stated in the title, it's in E major and 3/4 times. So it's a triple meter. And this is binary form, A section that repeats and then B section that repeats. This is a fast piece, allegro, and has a lot of staccato, a lot of detached movement. The first half is almost parallel in the right and left hand, whereas the right hand, if the right hand's playing E, the left hand's playing E, same all the way throughout. But it still has its little tricky passages. You just have to make sure you follow the fingering so that you can easily shift into the different positions. So everything together, of course, first time you should play a little slowly. Now, one's on E, finger 2 over, finger 3 takes over on E, then 2 over in the left hand. Also, you have those nice 2-note slurs at the end of the line. I like to lift the wrist and really, exaggerate that slur, down, up, down, up. But overall, this is actually kind of a simple beginning. I think this is a great piece to learn if you need to learn a piece in a hurry, because the concepts are pretty straightforward in this one. I'm going to do this again. Yeah, very nice first half. Let's look at the second half, which is going to be harder. I want to talk about the chord progression real quick. I always like to review the chord progression before diving in. You have E major. Now you have B major down here, and typical fingering is 5-3-1, but because you're going to turn into a B7 afterwards, I would actually do 5-3-2, and then 5-2-1, like that, and then back to E, and then 5-2-1, then 2 shifts. Remember, whenever you have to shift like that, you need to use your wrist. So there's your chord progression for the left hand. And then right hand has just nice melodic lines. Make sure the right hand rings out more than the left hand, since that's the part that the listener should be focusing on. That is really cute. And again, end of the phrase, I like to round up. Not always, but I feel like it's definitely necessary for this piece. In the Masterpieces with Flair book, it does say sempre staccato for the left hand. I would like to know how you could do repeated chords without being staccato, though. I feel like that's not really necessary to state, just because if you're doing repeated chords, they're going to be staccato no matter what. You can't really play repeated notes legato. Okay, so let's put this together. Okay, so the big challenge with this piece after you get it down, because I do think that you can learn the notes and rhythm pretty quickly if you're, already have your foundation. You've gone through some method books, been taking lessons for a year or so. The next step really is the speed, because it is allegro. You do want it to feel a little on the quick end. So how do you speed it up? That's going to be the challenging thing, especially because you're going to be moving your hands around the keyboard. And this is a good time to introduce impulse practice. So impulse practice is when you do little sprints and then rest, sprint and then rest. So I'm going to impulse by one measure. It means I'm going to play one measure quick and then rest. I'm going to do it with the second half instead of the first half, because the second half is a little bit harder. So I feel like it's more likely a student will need to impulse the second half than the first half. Although you might need to impulse the whole thing. Always be willing to meet yourself where you're at. Okay, so here we go. Rest. Rest. You see how when I rest, I fall into the next position. Oops. It helps to play the right notes. Rest. 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 All right. Now, you might not be able to do it that fast at first. You might have to impulse like this. That's okay. Like I stated earlier, meet yourself where you're at when you practice. Enjoy this piece. Have fun with it. Don't beat yourself up if you can't get it too fast yet. Just try to get it quickish. It doesn't have to be, a race. Okay, and after you do one measure at a time, I would do 2 measures at a time. So we would do rest, That works really well, especially because 9 and 10 is E major, 11, 12 is B major to B7, 13, 14 is back to E major, and then at the end you do have B7, 1. So you have an authentic cadence, everybody. 5, 7, 1. Okay, I don't really have more than that. This is a pretty straightforward piece, like I stated earlier. It's lovely. It's very cute. It does have its challenges. Don't take that for granted. I find often when I give students an easier piece, it takes them longer to learn it because they just think, oh, I have it, and they barely touch it. They don't really listen to it skeptically while they're playing. So a lot of stuff just gets swept under the rug, and then I have to, pull out those dust bunnies during lessons. So make sure to spend the time, do what you need to do to get your fingering correct in the first part, and nice bouncy wrist because you do have the staccato. And then make sure that your right hand is louder than your left hand in the second half, and that you have just like these cute woodpecker chords. And then of course the shifts and the speed too. So lots of little things to do even though it's straightforward. And that's it. I hope you enjoy learning this piece. I hope you get to perform it for friends and family or whoever will listen. And happy practicing.